Hello everyone, my name is Robin Maycumber and I've been teaching music full-time for 14 years. Today I'd like to share with you an introductory lesson for the guitar based on my book, Navigating the Fingerboard. I want to stress that this is a beginning lesson in which we will cover the parts of the guitar, how to hold the instrument, a few simple warm-ups, and a scale pattern. Most teachers like to start with strumming chords, but we're going to begin by picking individual strings because it's a little easier on the fingers of the left hand. First, I'll describe the different parts of the guitar for you. Here's the headstock, upon which are the tuners, the nut, this is the neck with the fingerboard, frets, position markers, pickups, the bridge, pickguard, pickup selector switch, volume and tone controls, instrument jack, guitar body, and strap pins. Some of you may already be comfortable with the way you hold the guitar and pick, but since this is a beginning lesson, let's go over a couple of ideas that have really helped me with my playing over the years. Let's talk about holding the instrument. Hold the instrument in front of you like this and pull it in tightly to your rib cage. Whether you play electric or acoustic guitars, it's important to balance the instrument on your leg so that you don't have to support the weight of it with your left hand, allowing that hand to move freely across the neck. If you're a left-handed player, try to think of all of this in terms of a mirror image. So that's how to hold the instrument. Before we move on to the right and left hands, let's go over tuning the guitar. If your guitar is out of tune, what you play will sound bad no matter how good of a player you are. So it's very important to learn how to tune the instrument. When we talk about tuning, we have to talk about the names of the strings. And in order to talk about the names of the strings, we should talk about the names of notes in general. The notes in Western music are named for the first 7 letters of the alphabet, A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. These are the 7 natural notes. There are also 5 accidental notes, which are sharps and flats, but we'll talk more about those later. The strings of your guitar are named from the top to the bottom, E, A, D, G, B, and E. One easy way to remember this is to say the phrase, eat a darn good breakfast every day. An electronic tuner is the most dependable way to tune your instrument. Most tuners have a small microphone which will allow them to pick up the notes from an acoustic guitar. If you play electric guitar, you'll want to plug your guitar into the tuner with an instrument cable and make sure that your volume is turned up all the way. Here's how you use the tuner. Drag your thumb across the string and let the note sustain for several seconds. Watch the tuner window to see whether the string is sharp, too tight, or flat, too loose. Adjust the tuning machine until the needle or light rests in the green, repeating this process for each of your 6 strings. Now that we're all tuned up, let's go over holding the pick. Hold the pick between the thumb and the index finger of your hand with as much of the pad of your fingers contacting the pick as possible. Be sure to keep the first joint of your finger and thumb relaxed so that you can maintain a firm grip without a lot of pressure. Also, choke up on the pick so just a little bit is sticking out past your fingers. That'll make it easier for the pick to move from one string to the next without getting hung up underneath the strings. If we were going to just strum the strings, we could let the forearm float in a back and forth strumming motion. But because we want to pick the strings individually, we'll have more control if we rest the heel of the palm on the body of the guitar above the strings. Here's an example of how your hand should look. Let's try picking the top string down and up several times, making sure that the heel of the palm is resting on the body of the guitar. Notice how this makes my hand easier to control, and I can actually pick quite rapidly using this technique. Now let's try an open string warm-up. We'll play each string 4 times, alternating down and up strokes with the pick. As we move from one string to the next, let's keep the heel of the palm resting first on the body of the guitar, and then on the strings as we move our hand towards the bottom string. Now that we've warmed up a bit, let's talk about counting time. You've probably heard the standard 1, 2, 3, 4 to count off a song. Counting is a way to measure both the tempo and the rhythmic feel of the music. Each time we count to 4, we count one measure of music in 4/4 time, or quarter notes. To count eighth notes, we add a syllable between the numbers, counting 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. To count 16th notes, we add 2 more syllables into the count. 1e and a, 2e and a, 3e and a, 4e and a. Let's play the warm-up in eighth notes, picking each string 4 times while we count 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Ready? Here we go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Remember to play each warm-up going in both directions across the strings. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now try it without looking at your right hand. The idea is to feel the space between the strings and get to the point where you can pick them without thinking about it. You can turn off your guitar volume and practice this while watching TV to really develop the right hand. Now that we've got through holding the guitar and picking technique, let's move on to the left hand. Thumb position is very important to establish a good basis for left hand technique. Start by making a thumbs up with your left hand, then press the pad of the thumb against the neck just above the neck center line. Be sure to keep the first joint of your thumb relaxed and lined up with your first 2 fingers. This will allow you maximum mobility across the strings. We're going to do a warm-up for the left hand with the little finger at the 12th fret. And with your hand in this position, your thumb should line up with the 10th fret, like this. Your fingers should curve over the fingerboard with your fingertips close to the strings. Let's press the little finger against the 12th fret of the bottom string, or high E string. Keep the first knuckle of the finger flexed while pressing against the string, with your fingertip just to the left of the fret. Let's try that with the other 3 fingers, moving towards the nut 1 fret at a time. And then continue across all 6 of the strings. All right, let's play the 12th fret warm-up with the right hand alternate picking. Try to play each warm-up at least twice. As you become more advanced, you will no longer need to do the right hand warm-up, and you can concentrate more on the left hand. I'll show you a more elaborate version of that exercise in another lesson. Now let's use all of the techniques we've practiced so far to play the E minor scale using the open strings. This is the first scale diagram from the book. Hopefully you can see how the 12th fret warm-up relates to the scale pattern in that each finger covers the same fret all the way across the neck, from the top string to the bottom. This way we can access all the frets in a single position with as little lateral movement of the left hand as possible. Okay, let's play the scale at tempo, just like we did the other warm-ups. We'll start nice and slow while trying to keep the tempo consistent, playing quarter notes. Once you've practiced a little bit, you should be able to speed up the tempo. Now let's try it again in eighth notes. With a little more practice, you can start to improvise within the scale pattern. Improvisation is basically playing the notes of the scale in whatever order you like. You may start to find familiar melodies right away. Now you should have enough information to play the first 3 scale patterns in the book. Try to practice every day for at least 15 minutes. You should tune first, warm up the right hand, Then do the 12th fret warm-up and play each scale pattern at least twice. After that, try a little improvisation. There are a wonderful variety of jam tracks available on the internet, in addition to the ones included in the book, Navigating the Fingerboard. Have a great day, and play because you love to.